talking about fear.
Oh, the foul stench of fear.
Hola, you amazing artist. Fear. How do you push through the fear?
It's a lot like pushing through an elevator full of sweaty men who have swass.
What?
Rafi's Rambles, Rafi's Rambles, Rafi's Rambles.
I received a question from Madame Christina. What did you tell yourself when you just had to push through a fear? I am definitely not an expert at getting over your fear or pushing through it, but I could tell you what my experience has been with it. Basically, I could tell you I took fear and uppercut it right into jaw and ran past it, like flailing my arm.
Like you sucker punched fear?
I sucker punched fear. It's like punching a shark, you know? I'm that guy. You know, I have a really interesting background when it comes to fear, which I think makes me qualified to be able to talk about this subject. I am kind of afraid of everything. And when I mean everything, I mean everything. There's always new things that crop up that we're afraid of.
Never-ending supply of things to be afraid of.
Damn you, fear. Damn you! Now, you might think that I'm joking because I seem so carefree and I constantly am talking about taking risk and, you know, facing your fears as an artist. And I mean, really, my livelihood as an artist is probably one of the most terrifying things that I experience. For example, one of my biggest fears early on was just showing my artwork. Showing my artwork was absolutely terrifying because it meant that I was going to be criticized or that my work was going to be criticized. That fear is totally justified. I mean, if you are putting your stuff out there, chances are at some point in time you are going to get your work criticized or you are going to get criticized. What wasn't justified was the fact that I was paralyzed for 30 years and didn't show my work because I was too afraid to get criticized.
You know why they would have mean comments to say about it?
I don't know, Clee. Why would they have mean comments to say about it?
Because of fear. Let me just silence that.
The interesting thing is that the reason that I was afraid of being criticized was simply because I was afraid of failure. What I didn't understand back then was that just because you fail at something doesn't make you a failure. Because I was so afraid of getting criticized and failing, I essentially gave up before I even tried. I avoided this thing to not feel like a failure, and in the process, I felt like a failure for avoiding doing this thing. It's just stupid. So to answer your question, here are 4 things that I think about whenever I am facing a fear and I want to push through it. Number 1. Go to war and make peace. Pretty much what a fear embodies is your brain trying to keep you safe. Basically, it's laying out all the things that you're afraid of and all the worst case scenarios that could happen if you do this thing that you want to do.
It's like your friend who stays at home on the sofa and never goes out anywhere, but always seems to have some kind of advice for you on life.
And what usually happens is that when these voices come into your head, you actually feel like it's the voice of God talking to you. You will fail and everyone will laugh at you. Oh no, everybody's gonna laugh at me. And they're all going to think that you're stupid and they will hate you. They'll know that I'm stupid. Forget it, I don't want to do this. Instead of giving into your mind and realizing that it's not the voice of God that's criticizing you, think of it as an opportunity to be able to face all the worst case scenarios that may happen.
And stick with it because your brain will come up with all sorts of things the more things you break through. Until finally it's like, and you're fat!
Yeah, that's the final argument.
And that shirt looks bad on you.
Prepare yourself for worst case scenarios. For example, if you are going to give a speech, let's say you're thinking about going up on stage and you're afraid of stuttering on your words and your brain is like, you are going to stutter on your words. Then it's cool because it gives you an opportunity to plan a rebound. Oh yeah, well if I stutter on my words, this is what I'm going to do. Number 2. Will I regret not doing this? Put yourself maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years in the future and ask yourself, like, will I regret looking back at the last 5 years and not having at least tried to do this thing is not do something that you will regret not doing. That was really confusing.
Don't not do it.
Oh, God.
Still relevant. Yeah, and at the end of your life, you're not going to be like, I'm so glad that my fear of looking stupid kept me from doing those things. Man, could have looked like an idiot.
Number 3, blow your own mind. So this one is kind of a side note, but it's one of the things I wanted to share with you that I do because it blows my mind anytime that I'm maybe confused about which direction I should head. And I'll just cover it really quickly because I could honestly do a whole video on this. And if you guys want to see a video on this, let me know, but this is what it is. I go into circular thinking, and essentially the way that circular thinking works is you ask yourself a series of 4 questions. And here's an example of the 4 questions that I asked. What would happen if I showed my art? What wouldn't happen if I showed my art? What would happen if I didn't show my art? And what wouldn't happen if I didn't show my art? Essentially, when you start answering those questions, your brain, instead of being stuck on one way of figuring things out logically, is forced to look at it from all different directions.
Either way, your brain's like,
Yeah.
that's deep, bro.
Yeah, it's pretty. Your brain is like, that's deep, bro. Number 4, stop thinking about it and just do it already. You have to ask yourself, what is the benefit here of not doing this? To hold myself back, to basically give up on myself because I'm too afraid to do this thing that I want to do. Maybe it's because you're afraid of making a mistake. Well, guess what? You're going to make mistakes when you are doing things that you don't generally do because you've been too afraid to do them in the first place. You are going to fall flat on your face, and that is okay because at least you're getting started. Let me leave you with this. Do not condemn yourself for being afraid. We are all afraid. There's no such thing as a fearless person. I mean, really, if there was a such thing as a person who had absolutely no fear, they probably wouldn't survive very long on this planet. But don't let fear immobilize you. Don't let fear paralyze you into a life of mediocrity. You can change your state of mind on how you look at fear and just handle it differently. That's what all those people that look like they're courageous and fearless are actually doing. It's not that they don't have any fears, it's just that they handle their fears differently. Fear is a thing that could actually motivate you to train harder. It could motivate you to practice at something a lot more. It can motivate you to be prepared for something scary that is happening the next day. It could make you ready to face any and all obstacles as long as you're using the fear and you're not letting the fear use you.
Yeah, and the alternative is comfort. Warm, snuggly blanket that slowly smothers you to death.
I would definitely be more afraid of sitting on my ass and not doing the things that I want to do with my life.
You owe it to the world to share your gifts and talents.
Yes, you do.
And anything less does the world and yourself a disservice.
Yes. And that's it. That's all I've got.
I've got something to add about fear.
Okay.
So when I was 14, I was diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder. So on top of having your standard collection of what I call rational fear, I also had this other collection of completely irrational fears. Oftentimes, I was totally paralyzed with these fears that were in my mind. So I dealt with my fears the same way I dealt with my irrational fears, which was one thing: this is not real. This is entirely up here, and I'm in control of this. And you know how I show myself I'm in control of this? By taking action that proves the fear wrong. And that was how I got through those irrational fears, and it's how I deal with everyday fears. Prove your fears wrong.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
When you do push through your fear, buy yourself a treat to celebrate. Like ice cream or new shoes.
New shoes or ice cream? Tap shoes.
Positive reinforcement.
I really hope you guys found this helpful, and if you did, please give us a thumbs up. Thank you, Madam Christina, for your fantastic question. Such a huge scope to that question because there's so much.
It is a great question because I think it's the single most important question for anybody who wants to pursue anything they're passionate about. How do I push through the fear?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You conquer that, you're unstoppable. Ooh, I liked that.
Yeah.
Unstoppable!
Unstoppable!
That's good.
Also, you guys, if you have any questions for me, just leave them in the comment section below. You may not like my answer, but hey, that's why I'm the one filming this thing today. You can ask me about art, life, pretty much anything. I would love to talk to you guys about anything, so ask away. And if you're a creator of any type, please leave a link to your creations with your questions so I could check them out because I would love to see them. And thank you so much, you guys. I totally freaking adore you. You are totally awesome. And if you like this and you want to watch more like this, you click over here to subscribe. And if you want to watch our last video, you click right over here. And that's it. Adios, you guys. Say goodbye, Clee.
Good day.